First, you have to lead yourself. You have to have empathy for yourself. You have to have compassion for yourself. Because if you don't have these things for yourself, how can you possibly think you're going to have them for anybody else? You know, exactly. And I think there is a lot of that in leadership as well, that people are in these leadership positions and they feel the weight of all this responsibility and they know they can't do all these jobs and they feel the disconnection, which empathy at its basis is about connection and understanding. So to feel that disconnection can be really difficult, especially if you feel you're in a high spot that's always on stage. It's always under the bright lights. So there's a lot to be said for all of that and being able to bring that love, as you were talking about, into the companies by starting with the self.
Yeah. And I think there was some research, I have it in one of my books, I think it was in Harvard Business Review, where they showed how a manager and his direct report, they hooked up nodes, devices onto their scalp to read their brain waves. And then the manager showed empathy for his employee and their mirror neurons synced up. So this is really scientifically proven that these things matter. I don't think this was even in our realm of science, 50 years ago, but now we're seeing that we live in this field, and I see a company or a family or any group as a quantum field, a field of energy. And I love to give the example of when you watch fish swim together or birds flying together, they're not checking with each other to see which way somebody's turning. They are in the field and they're maybe they're not their mirror neurons. It may be, I'd have to look it up, but that they're in a synchronicity. And then this can be seen. I've heard about gaming conferences where 10,000 people are all synced up playing a game. Or we know in jazz, they've actually studied it with the nodes on the head to measure that these jazz musicians, their brainwaves sync up. So it's really fun to know that that's possible and leverage it, I believe, to make companies more agile and just better places to work.
Well, and it seems to me that the leaders who are willing to embrace this and consider these, fluffy emotions actually are in a great position to be supercharged for the leaders of tomorrow, because the command and control style of leadership doesn't work. We've been stuck with it for way too long, and we've proven it doesn't work. And yet, Daniel Goleman, so the first article on emotional intelligence was written in 1989 by Mayer and Salovey, where they first talked about it, that it's understanding and controlling your own emotions and understanding other people's. Daniel Goleman wrote his book on emotional intelligence in 1995, where he was like, emotional intelligence totally trumps intelligence quotient, EQ over IQ any day of the week. So that means that we've been talking about this now for 30 years, and we know this to be true. So anybody that can really get a hold of this and move forward with it, they're going to be the leaders of tomorrow that people are going to look at and go, I want to do it like that, because the command and control style is dead.
Yeah. And the young people today, they don't want to work for leaders like that. So if you want to attract and retain the best employees, you really want to make it a kind of a coaching model where people are inspired and given the resources and championed and being allowed to take risks and make mistakes, because otherwise you're going to just get lost in the competition. I really think it's needed, even just to survive these days. Because if your competitors start embracing this kind of leadership and you don't, I think you're going to get left behind.
Yes, big time. Especially like you said, with the up and coming generations that just aren't willing to settle for what, the other generations before them have. I'm Gen X, and I get upset with some of the stuff that we settled for. I think we should have been leading the way better, but instead there's stuff coming off from the beginning of the century yet, and it's the other century, not the 2000 one, the 1900s one.